grab a pen and pad. You're listening to the Take Notes with Kiki Barber podcast. Your host, Kiki Barber, a wife, mother, entrepreneur, educator, and author, shares her experiences, expertise, and advice that you can apply to your own lives.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Take Notes with Kiki Barber. I am your host today, Kiki Barber. And today we got something very, very special in store for you guys. I know you guys have been wanting to hear about real estate, how to get in the game, some of the best ways to go about it, wanted to know what you needed to invest, how much money you needed, or anything like that. So today, my co-host today, and my guest today, Pam Hill, is the woman to give you all the insight on the real estate business. And say hello, Pam.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much, Kiki. This is such an honor, really, to be on your podcast. This is something that I know will be just nourishment to so many people. And so I'm just, as I said, honored to be able to just be a part of it and play a small role.
Wow, listen, I know you'd like to give back, because I know that every time you call me, it's always, Kiki, here's another resource, or Kiki, here's another, So she likes to give stuff away. So today she's going to give us some knowledge on how to step your game up and get into the real estate business. So today's topic is on women in real estate. So Pam, we usually shout out in the beginning of our segment, we always shout out a business, a Black-owned business, and we always talk about a mommy moment. So today, I want you to tell us a little bit about your company and what it is that you do, how long you've been doing it, and
Absolutely, love to. So my company, G&J Quality Homes, we've been around since 2015. So what we do is we buy properties and then fix them up and rent them out. And so how we look to be different than everyone else that's out there is by really paying attention to the small details in the house and thinking about it as a home, as opposed to as an investment. Wow. So every house that I own, I myself would live there. I fix it up as if I'm going to live there. And that being said, I'm not a very splashy person, but I certainly make sure that the house has washer, dryer. I've found that even washers and dryers are not standard in a lot of rental homes. And then certainly fridge, stove, putting in a new hot water heater, and HVAC system, that sort of thing. So doing all I can with the home itself.
Wow. And that is excellent. So the backdrop on how Pam and I met was I knew somebody who's a good friend of hers named Carol. So Carol, of course, everybody knows my backstory. I did hairdresser, cosmetology teacher. So I was in a salon one day and I was talking about, property, because I do that too. And Carol was like, oh my God, I do, property too. And we got this little group together that we need to get back on. We've all been so busy, but we started this group meeting where it was, and I'm thinking I'm going to like a mixer. I didn't think it was like an exclusive group. I'm thinking I'm going to a mixer. She's invited me to a mixer with a whole bunch of real estate people, and we're going to hobnob and all that stuff or whatever. And when she brought me amongst her friends, I was like, wow, this is special. It's not just a regular event. It's an event with people who are more seasoned than I was in the real estate industry, which is what I wanted to get a better hold of, a better understanding of, and leverage a whole lot of other things with real estate. So I'm just like, I needed the knowledge. And I'm like, oh my God, for them to invite me in, I'm a small timer in it, and to be amongst people who the portfolios are like far exceed mine was just an honor. And that was just, God letting me know that he's enlarging my territory. He'll put you amongst people amongst people to where you're going, and that says a lot. So I met Pam there, and I was just honored because and we just hit it off ever since. Yeah. We hit it off ever since. And when I say she's a wealth of knowledge, guys. Pam, how many projects do you own right now, if you don't mind saying?
No, I don't mind. 23 houses.
23. Listen, y'all. She owns 23 houses. And can you tell us when you started this and how long it took? Yeah.
In 2015. And what got me started is I realized my husband, he wasn't my husband then, we were dating. And so he was looking at his first home.
Okay.
And I think it hit both of us that, wow, you can buy houses, nice houses for the price of a car. And I found that both a great opportunity, but also just so sad because I thought we have so many of our people who certainly have been renting a very, very long time. And to think that you could have your own house for, when I say the price of a car, meaning $25,000, $35,000, it's just still, it takes my breath away. So that's what got me thinking about real estate. I had not focused on it at all because I assumed, probably like a lot of people assume, that the price of a house is what you think the price of a house would be. In other words, 6 figures. But once we started exploring and, found some good, decent neighborhoods in Wilmington, that one house then led to house number 2, 3, 4, and so on.
Up to 23. Okay. So I was just like, I was blown away because you are where I'm headed. You were walking in the right direction. It's like, I was walking up the street and bumped into you and you're like, come on, let's go on this journey together. And I felt like, okay, let's do this because you've told me about sheriff sales. You talked about the land bank. You told me about auctions, like whatever it is that I needed, you were right there like, oh, here's the information. And too often people like to harbor and hold things and not allow people to know what it is they're doing or how they're accomplishing things because they think that they're going to keep it to themselves. They don't want to help anybody out. You were the total opposite. And I could definitely say that. And I thank you for that even now, because it's like you are a wealth of knowledge and you're not afraid to share the knowledge and to give it out, and tell people where to go to get exactly what it is that you have. And that's how I operate. I'm not going to tell you to go around a corner and to get what I got when I know I got it from up the street. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you the exact route that I took to get it and exact people that I got it from, so you can get the same thing. So you said you started this in 2015?
Yes.
This is only 2021.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Sometimes I forget. Like, what? I'm trying to think. I'm just try and think as hard as I can. No, it was probably more like 2013. 15 would have been when I got the LLC. So it would have been more like 13.
Okay.
Other milestones in life.
That is still like, listen, some people be having one and be like, I ain't doing that no more. That's too much. Right. Too much work. So how would you tell somebody was the easiest way? Well, not easy because it's going to be hard, but on all the 23 houses, are all of them mortgages or some of them owned outright? And how did you leverage, finances to get?
Exactly. So I would say the very first thing, in my opinion, this is again, just my framework. Very first thing someone should do is buy their own house. So before they think about an investment home, they should think about their residential home, so that if they are renting, they stop renting. That is the goal. So to get to your own property, your own home, if you're a first-time home buyer, there are a lot of resources out there for you. Two great ones. One is every state and many cities within a state have resources for first-time home buyers. Really, what I would suggest you do is, if you're listening to this, just type in the word first-time home buyer grant home closing costs, some such combination of words, and then the name of your city and state. And initially, the first 3 or 4 returns are going to be ads. You're going to ignore those. You're going to look for something that looks like it ends with state or org or something. And that is going to take you to either a land bank or a city or a nonprofit. And how they operate is you take a class. The class is online. The class is about 6 to 8 hours, and it's focused on budgeting. You pass this class. The class might take about 4 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
When you pass, you then are able to receive, every city varies, but $10,000 to $15,000 worth of money towards your closing costs and towards your down payment. So this is free money, not a loan, an actual payment towards these things. So that's one. Two, to look at most folks don't think of rural as a place, living out in the countryside as a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
However, countryside is defined by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA. So Southeast New Jersey, many parts of it, Salem County, and so within Salem County, there's the city of Salem, there's Pennsville, there's Penns Grove, Carneys Point. All of these cities are considered rural. And as a result, the USDA, for first-time home buyers that they also define as low to medium income, are able to obtain USDA financing, which is the cheapest financing out there. And there is no money down on these loans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's tremendous for many people. And then the third resource is FHA. An FHA loan is requires a down payment of, I believe, 3.5%. And your credit score has to be a minimum of 620, and usually they prefer 660.
Mm-hmm.
When I mentioned the classes earlier on and the $10,000 to $15,000 of available funding, those classes help you come up the credit, the FICO score, help you come up the FICO score curve and teach you how to do that. So that's really where I would say to focus is on that.
Wow, that is a whole lot of information that you just gave them. Y'all got a whole lot of free information in one podcast though. She just gave y'all everything. Like I told you, she doesn't hold back anything. So what you're saying is some of them, once you leverage all of these resources and like you said, buy your first home, make sure you're in and stop paying rent because rent is just wasting money and paying somebody else's mortgage.
That's right.
And even though we have a lot of renters because it makes your business flourish and it makes my business flourish.
Right, but we want to turn renters into owners. We do. I would be absolutely thrilled.
Yes.
If that's all it was, because here's the thing. If the rental business goes away from me, well, then there'll be some other business. So I'm not worried about
that. I know that's right.
Exactly. I'm happy to be put out of the rental business and to instead sell my houses to new homeowners. And then I can go do something else
because God makes room and you'll do something else. And that's the beautiful thing about what you do. It's not that you're trying to keep people in bondage or keep people staying there. Once, and you want people to become homeowners, just like with my program, Sarah's House. We want people to own their own homes and realize the dream of actually ownership. And that's the same thing basically you're doing. Like, listen, if somebody rents from you long enough and they say, listen, Pam, I really like you here. I just want to buy. You would have no problem with saying, you know what? Come on, let me let you buy this house. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Every tenant I talk to, I have a conversation with them about how to become a homeowner. And they don't have to buy my house. Any house.
Just buy a house.
Just transition out of where you are.
Wow, that is so beautiful. So when I met with you guys, I had a few in the bucket and of course we leverage different things pay off other things. So that's how I use my real estate. My real estate covers something that I'm doing. Like whether it be kids' college, whether it be this paying off that house or this paying off, whatever. But I only have one right now that I have a mortgage on. Everything else is paid outright. And, and of course, we're working on something else that we might have a mortgage on soon. But other than that, it's just like, you told me something about the land bank. And once you told me, and with me, I'm a runaway train. If you tell me something, I'm going to go tell everybody. Like, people be like, why are you telling everybody about that? I'm like, because there's enough out there for everybody. What do you mean when I'm telling everybody? I want everybody to have a house. I want everybody to experience home ownership. I want everybody to experience this. Because once they experience it, like you said, once you experience it, it's like, ooh, what else can I do? If I did that, like you went from that to 23.
Right. I had no plans whatsoever to be in the real estate business. I was scared of it, really.
You were in corporate America, right? What were you doing?
I was in corporate America working in the energy utility industry, and even chief financial officer and CEO.
Wow. So you work, and you never thought you would be in real estate, but is it fulfilling now that you've done it? Okay.
It really is. And you hit on something earlier that I think is really important, which was around the troubles, as it were, that will come. And they come in every industry. And really, they just come as a part of life. If you're alive and awake, troubles are going to be part of the deal. Is that when I do have a challenging experience where someone has not treated the home with love and kindness, as it were, I start off with thankfulness that the house is still standing.
Wow.
Thankful that the house is not burned to the ground or some other thing. And moreover, that everyone in the house is safe and sound. And then as far as fixing the house up, I think that if you get into real estate, you'll want to save probably at least $5,000 off to the side and assume that something will go wrong. So you need to have money available to fix it when it does. And it'll never be convenient when it happens. So the things that go wrong, for instance, the heat stops working. So either that is a furnace repair or sometimes it's an actual furnace replacement. The roof is leaking. So that is many roof repairs or sometimes an outright roof replacement. An appliance breaks, what have you. So, and of course, that is not just the cost of the thing that's broken, but getting the labor out there as well. So you just have to be ready for that. But I find that you really can't stereotype and say, gee, this particular family looks like they're going to be a good family or a bad family because they are on Section 8 or they're not, because they have a lot of children or they only have one, because it's a husband and wife or just a single lady or two ladies. I haven't seen anything that's a kind of an across the board indicator. And how I look at it is I've met and am friends with more good people than I have had enemies out of this.
Wow. So how do you feel about the Section 8? Because, some people say there's so many different stereotypes when it comes out to Section 8, like, okay, don't rent to this or don't rent to that. And
my experience has been that the stereotypes don't hold true. I've had wonderful Section 8 tenants and terrible Section 8 tenants. I've had wonderful non-Section 8 tenants and terrible non-Section 8 tenants. So I just don't see a rule of thumb.
I agree. I agree. And I have Section 8. So I have Section 8, but with those people, or those tenants, I try to give them a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you can own a home. You don't really have to, there's room for growth if you would just take it, so, and that's like you said with everybody. One thing you told me about was the land bank. Now,
yes,
girl, I was just like, I want some more properties. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you were like, girl, do you ever try to land bank? And I'm like, land bank? Now, back in the day, we called them the dollar houses. I've never known that's what they were. I never knew they called it the land bank. Like when we were back in Philly, it was like, I'm going to get me a dollar house. I'm going to fix it up. And I'm going to do that. So I didn't think that existed anymore. But it's called land bank. Y'all, they didn't change the lingo on us. So I don't know if it was always called that, or if I don't know if it was like a hood thing that we just called it a dollar house, but it had the same, I guess it works the same way where you find these dilapidated houses and in and around Wilmington has a whole lot of them.
Yep.
The list is like extensive and you just find a house. And I think the rule is that you buy it from $0 to $10,000, I think.
Yep. That's right.
$0 to $10,000. And all you have to do is give them, and Pam taught me this, so I ain't telling you nothing that I didn't know. I just learned this months back. And you give them, you go through the steps of what they need. You just have to have money in the bank. If you have somebody walk through the property and a contractor says that the property has maybe like 20,000 worth of damage or 30,000, whatever number that contractor gives you, you have to have that in the bank to flash to the land bank. And once you do that, they give you up to, I think it's still 18 months, Pam, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Mm-hmm. 18 months to rehab this house. And then once you rehab the house and go through all the steps and things like that, they hand you over the deed with your name on it.
That's it. And if any of your listeners are really worried about their ability to take on a project like that, let them be kind of feel rest assured that there is financing. I mentioned FHA. FHA has a two-part loan program. There's the loan to buy the house, and then there's a separate loan to fix up the house.
Yep.
So if someone buys a property that, like you said, is dilapidated and needs maybe even $70,000 worth of work because of a full gut job on the electric, the gas, etc., they'll be able to connect with FHA for that financing. And I really ask people to look at it this way when they think about a house. The rent that they're paying probably isn't less than $800, particularly if they're in and around the Wilmington area. The mortgage on a house, if they bought it for $70,000 with a 30-year mortgage, is probably going to be closer to $300. So what they would want to do is in their bank account still pay out $800, and they can do it in two ways. Either they're paying that $800 so they can pay off the mortgage faster than 30 years, or they can pay the $300, but then put the other $500 in a separate account, not their regular checking account, a separate account. And that's the rainy day account for making the repairs on the house when, like I said, life interrupts. So that they will always be able to pay the taxes on the house, always be able to fix the roof or whatever are the things that go wrong, as well as just beautify the house.
Now, I hear a lot of people always say, for their excuse not to want to be a homeowner, I don't got time for lawns and I don't got time for the upkeep and the repairs and things like that. And that's a lot of people's excuse for not wanting to own a home. And I'm just like, wow, that makes no sense to me. You don't want the responsibility of paying to get things fixed. However, if you bought the home and were paying less in a mortgage than you would in rent, you would have that repair money anyway, like you just said, Yeah. So when you were talking about the repairs of if you buy a dilapidated house, were you talking about a 203K?
Yes, I was. Thank you for that, Kiki. Okay. That's exactly right. A 203K. Okay,
203K. So that's what we're going through now for our unit building. So this is my first experience now I've done short sale, I've done regular, just cash deals. And then I've also done, this is the first 203K rehab. So it's a whole nother level of real estate of whatever it is that goes through, but they watch the money. So they have draws on the money. and they watch it. We had, like I said, the building is going to be a full rehab, but it's going to be a 6 or 7 unit apartment complex. But
fantastic.
But it was down to the beams, down to the studs, you know. And this is the first time experiencing a 203K. So when you said that, I'm like, okay, that's something that I didn't know you could do that with. Now, can you do that with land bank?
I believe you can.
Okay.
So what we'll do is maybe afterwards we can upload a link for your listeners to let them know if the land bank allows for a 203K loan.
Okay, definitely. Because I know they said all you have to do is have the funding. And if you're a nonprofit organization, you can get up to I think 2 of them or something like that, or you can get more. And then they even opened up. They said you had to live there, but now they even opened it up with the new guidelines that you could actually buy them and rent them out if you wanted to become. Yeah. So I was just like, wow. Okay. So the land bank is another way to go. And a lot of the houses don't even go for $10,000. Some of the houses are going to go for like 200, 500, whatever, you know. Some of them are going to go for that low.
Exactly.
You know, and I just think it's worth it. There's so many options out here for you guys to become homeowners, or to be, if you want to become an investor to start off, there's so many options out here. Pam, of course, just listed a few of them. The land bank. If you want to just, I know that people, I don't like to go this way, but I have gotten houses this way. People are behind on taxes. So I've gotten houses on, you know, houses, sheriff sales. People that are about to go into a foreclosure. That's how I got another house, because it was like a short sale. So they just wanted to get out of it. And let me see. So, and they just wanted to get out of it or whatever. So that's how I was able to obtain some things. And real estate could be a dirty game, but it could be, you know, you try to advance on all your chances and things like that. And the way the properties are going now, it's like, I thought we were in like a pandemic. Why is everybody buying property? Like, I thought everybody had money. There's plenty of money out here, because these properties are disappearing. As soon as you go see something, you'll see pending, gone. I'm like, what? You know? So, so that was a lot of information. So sky's the limit, you guys. Like Pam was saying, she started in 2013. It's 2021. She has 23 properties. Okay. I just want to like touch the hem of her garment. Okay. I just want to touch the hem of her garment. So I'm working steadily. And another thing she touched on that I want to talk about is even putting that money up. Like you were saying, if they were usually paying $800 in rent and then they got a mortgage of $300 and something, still paying, like I said, $800. Do you know, you guys, that you don't have to, just because it says a 30-year mortgage, you don't have to spend 30 years paying it? Do you know that you can make that a 15-year mortgage in no time?
That's it.
Do you know that? Do you know that on my mortgage, that even though I don't pay my mortgage because I have a renter that lives in below me in the apartment, but just because I have a renter paying the mortgage doesn't mean I don't put anything toward my mortgage, because I want to be out of it. I don't want a mortgage, you know? So even if paying biweekly, if you you have to pay more in the beginning to get on a biweekly payment with your mortgage or whatever, but paying biweekly adds extra weeks onto your mortgage. So that adds extra payments. When you get income taxes, take all of that sometimes and just put it on your mortgage.
Love it.
You know, there are so many ways to advance. And, you know, like I said, like I was telling you guys before, I have a home and I like the home, but I don't like paying mortgages. Okay. So I decided to turn my lower level into a 2-bedroom apartment. And that's what I did. And guess what that does? Pay my mortgage. And I still put a little bit more to it so I can get out of it faster. But I get to live in this house and not really have to pay my mortgage, you know? So there's so many ways to go about doing it. Pam, do you have anything else to add? Like anything else?
Absolutely. So I think you're raising such an important point about people keeping an open mind on their living arrangements and turning what is a debt, right? When you have a mortgage on a house or on anything, that's a liability. It's a debt. So turning your asset, which is your house, into money, not just into shelter, but into money to pay off that debt. Yeah. So for people who are listening and saying, well, gee, I don't have a basement, let alone the ability to carve out a 2-bedroom apartment in my house. Well, they certainly have a bedroom. And so to think flexibly about whether they're able to consolidate the living arrangements of the kids, for instance. If it's a 3-bedroom, then maybe one of those bedrooms is rented out if there's a way to do that.
Airbnb.
Airbnb. If you have a garage, there's a lot of people who want to shelter their car, particularly if it's a sports car or some rare car, in a garage. That's rental money.
That's awesome. Right? I never thought about that, Pam. That's actually excellent.
Yep, absolutely. And so clearly when you rent out space in your garage or rent your garage, it's not going to be as much. It might be $300 a month, but that's $300 you didn't have before you did that. And that can be a way to raise money for the down payment so that you can move in. I would say when Kiki also mentioned that some folks raise the maintenance issue as a reason not to buy, for them to think about other things that they take on the maintenance of. Exhibit 1 would be their car. Probably very few people who are listening to your show actually rent a car as the way they live their life. They don't just say, I'm only going to buy or I'm only going to rent a car and pay the much higher price of renting a car so that when something breaks on the rental car, I can just take it back to the rental car.
It's the same thing.
Instead, they buy a car and they pay a much lower monthly fee than if they were to rent a car for 30 days. Then when something breaks on the car they own, which of course they don't because they've financed it, but when something breaks, they then go and maintain it.
And they maintain it and get it fixed, via that be insurance, whether that be anything else. Like you got housing insurance. I just got another insurance added on, and it's a better insurance. I think I had America. I don't know who I had. I don't want to put no names out there. But I had somebody before, and then I found somebody a little better who covers actual, water heaters and air conditioning systems, and like that's what I'm talking about. I don't care about these little appliances, even though you can get those fixed or whatever. But if you can give me a heating system, HVAC, and you could give me a new water heater, these things cost a lot of money. And the way they're making them now, they only last maybe like 10 years. So if you could give me an insurance that covers that, it's the same way like Pam said, is buying a car. Like if it breaks down and you gotta get a new engine, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna go get a new engine.
Exactly.
So you can get back up and finish driving. It's the same thing with a house. You don't just not buy a house because you worry about expenses, because expenses are going to come. That's a part of life.
Exactly. I would also say, so I said that the houses that I bought in the beginning were in the $25,000 to $35,000 range. And actually the cheapest house that I bought that was a good house, is a good house. It's rented out. It had walls, a roof, and so on. It wasn't a disaster. That house was $4,500.
Wow.
And that house I bought on auction.com. You don't see as much these days on auction.com with prices, because as Kiki said, even though here we are in a pandemic, somehow there's plenty of money from investors to buy these. But I really encourage you all to go on auction.com. I encourage you, if you live in the state of Pennsylvania or are looking to or willing to move to the state of Pennsylvania, to type in the word judicial, JUDICIAL, judicial sale. Every county in Pennsylvania has a judicial sale. And when you buy a house through a judicial sale, you don't have to worry about any past due liens or liens, I should say, on the home. In a judicial sale, the last time I participated, which was also the only time I participated because I had just learned about it, I participated for Delaware County, and I looked at the city of Chester. Those houses were going for about $7,000 in the city of Chester. So that's one. You do have to pay in cash. So that's going to be a drawback for folks. But again, look to rent or sell whatever you can so you can begin to build up that pile so that you can buy something.
Listen, they're buying hair, they're buying all this other stuff, Pam. They can save to buy for a house.
That's it. That's it. It's just so urgent. I would also say, again, if you're willing to be flexible about where it is you live in these United States, and move to possibly non-urban areas, kind of a bit far out. What I'm doing right now while we're talking, I typed in Pennsylvania real estate, just those 3 words. And then what popped up first was Realtor.com. That just happened to be what popped up first. Then on Realtor.com, I said, show me the houses from lowest price to highest price. And so the very first house that I see is a house, it's a 2-bedroom selling for $5,000. $5,000, a house. It's in a place called Hermine, Hermine, Pennsylvania. Then there's another one in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania for $5,500. You know what it says for the mortgage? A 30-year mortgage is estimated at $19 a month. So, and here's the next one in Johnston, PA, $6,000 for the house itself. I simply typed in Pennswania. That was the state I typed in, Pennsylvania real estate. And then whatever is the first real estate website that pops up. In the case of my browser, the first one that came up was Realtor.com.
Okay.
I then asked Realtor.com to sort the houses from lowest price to highest price. And the first set of houses that came up were priced $5,000 for a house, $5,500 for another, $6,000 for a house. These houses are in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and other cities. I'm not familiar with these cities, and my guess is they're probably 5 hours away from the Philadelphia area, meaning you are moving.
Wow.
But it says, are you still there, Keith?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I saw something. So sorry. But again, this is where I would encourage your listeners to be flexible in where they would consider living.
Yeah, because you don't have to stay there.
You don't have to stay there. This could be back to the question of how do I become an investor in real estate? This could be how you become the investor by living there for a couple of years and then finding the house that you do want with your credit score higher, and then renting out that house that you have been living in that city.
Another thing would be multi-unit. Have you ever gotten into any multi-units yet?
Not like you're about to. So I'm going to be seeking to touch the garment, the good garment, once it's up and running. I would love to, and just haven't had an opportunity come up of that scale.
Of that scale, yeah.
Yes, that's certainly.
But even with a duplex or anything like that, if you're interested in getting into the game, like even if you got a duplex and rented the other side out, you know.
I think that's such an excellent idea. That's another way that your listeners can launch their investment career by, just like you're saying, buying 2 for the price of 1. And an FHA loan will allow you to buy as large as a 4-plex. So think about that.
Yep, a 4-plex. Yep, they will. Yep, they will.
Live in one and rent out the other 3.
Yep. You sure can. Live in one and rent. That's what we're talking about. Live in one and rent out the other 3. That's how we're trying to do business over here. So, and it is so many ways. And your first home could be a multi-unit.
That's right.
Now, have you ever dealt with NACA? Or do you know about?
So
okay.
Teach me, please.
Okay. So NACA was another program where there are no closing costs, no down payment. They take care of everything for you. And also the interest rate on your house is, I think, 2%, but you can also buy your interest rate down to a 0%.
But it's a program. It takes a little bit. And I have a friend who went through it. She did she bought a home, but she did a 203K in back of it, where they put like before she came in, they put like the hardwood floors throughout, and they put like a deck on, things like that she wanted added. But it takes a lot of keeping up with people, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of, but if you do your due diligence, you get what you want in the end. If you go through some things or whatever. So that's another thing. It's an NACA program, NACA program, where there's, like I said, they do your deposit, they do your down payment. There's no deposit, no closing costs. They do all that for you. And then you get the lowest interest rate that I've seen. And then if you want to go lower, you can buy it down, So that would be a program that if you're saying, okay, now they're going to make sure that they're all about paperwork. You can't have anything late for a year. You can't have not one payment late for a year. So that is one of the contingencies that, dealing with NACA has. You can't have a payment late for 12 months. But for people who don't have money and you're like, I'm willing to go through the changes. If I have to go through with NACA for about 5 or 6 months, I'll go through, the ups and downs of whatever it is this program entails to get what I need to get in the end to start my journey. Then NACA is a program that you can do. You cannot own any other property. So if you're going to do NACA, you need to do NACA first. Okay. So you can't do any other programs with NACA. You have to be, but with NACA, rural, I think they do rural neighborhoods. They do multi-units. So if somebody gonna pay a down payment, make it be on something that's like, make it be on something like that. Get a duplex, triplex, or a quad, definitely do that. So NACA, so all this information that we're spitting at you guys, it'll be attached. So you won't have to like, what did she say? What did she say? Everything will be attached. I'll have what Pam said, every resource that she put out, I'll have it at the bottom of the screen. Is there anything else that you would want to tell the viewers or anybody?
I would say for your listeners, if they are saying, well, gee, a house that costs $5,000, $10,000, even $30,000 is probably not in a great neighborhood. You are right. It is not in a great neighborhood. But I would say this as well. If you are renting a house in not a great neighborhood, then wouldn't you rather be an owner than a renter? Everyone has to start somewhere. We all do. So start with where you are. Start with that house in the low-income neighborhood, and then eventually in a few years' time, go ahead and move to the middle-income neighborhood. But don't let your desire and your goal for being in an absolutely lovely house, in a lovely neighborhood, in a lovely school district be the reason that you find yourself renting in your mind for just a little while, but then that little while becomes a lifetime.
That's a great point. That is so great. Because if you're already renting there, then why not buy there? And then you can move and that can catapult you to the next level and let somebody else rent it or sell it and advance yourself to the next round. Exactly. So that's a great point. Wow.
I would also add that the houses, even though these houses are $5,000, $10,000, $30,000, the rent is not $5, $10, $30. The rent is still $800, $900, $1,000, $1,200. So the return, meaning the amount of cash or rental income that you're getting compared to the cost of the house itself, is huge. If it's $1,000 a month, and there's 12 months in a year, so that's $12,000, and you pay $30,000 for the house, well then within 3 years you've earned back your money, and after that it's just
all money in the pocket.
All money in the pocket, and there are very few investments that have that kind of return. Again, it's not going to be a free ride. To be a landlord, you really have to have the mindset of service. I am here to help this family and make a difference. Do not look at them as a dollar bill. They are not that.
They're not that. Wow. Wow, this is all good stuff that you guys are getting. Oh my God, this is so many nuggets. I don't even know what to do. Now, you were saying when you were looking, when we had our initial meeting, and I was like, I always go to Realtor.com, and you was like, no, go to something else. Like, you gave me another link to go to where all the houses were.
So for especially for home buyers, but even for investors, you should go to homepath.com. That's the where Fannie Mae advertises their houses. It's actually a Fannie Mae website. Fannie Mae is a federal government agency, and I know .com usually sounds like the private sector, but in this case it isn't. So go there. If you are a first-time home buyer, then Fannie Mae is going to prioritize your application over an investor.
Wow.
Second is Home Steps, home and then steps, STEPS.com. That is Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac usually is another federal government agency. They usually don't have near as much as the Home Path site, but that's a second place to look. And where I would really encourage you to look again is the land banks. Like Kiki said, the houses are very cheap. Land bank very much prioritizes home ownership as opposed to investors. So if you were looking to buy your first home, they are going to hold your hand through the process and work with you. And that's going to be a lot cheaper than buying a house even from Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. And then again, take these classes when you for your city around first-time homeowners, so that you can get a free $10,000 or $15,000, however much it is that they're giving. So you can get that money and use it on the closing costs and even on the down payment.
Yes, that's all good nuggets, you guys. So listen, if you don't think you got enough knowledge, I don't know what to tell you. But today, Pam has given us so much to think about. And like she said, you can go on all these sites. You do what is best for you. Everybody takes a different route and to end up at the same destination, you know? So what my path might not be your path. Her path might not be your path. But as long as everybody get a house, that's all we care about. You know, as long as everybody experiences home ownership, you know, that is our goal. So I know a lot of people was asking me about real estate and how you do this and how do I get into it? How do I become a first-time home buyer? It is all here today, you guys. So I hope you got something from it. Anything else you want to add to that, Pam? Or
I am happy to be a resource to folks. My email is gjqualityhomes@gmail.com, so your listeners can feel free to email me with questions.
Okay. So that was my doorbell. But okay, so they can email you, and I'll have all your information, Pam, down below. So when they listen to it or whatever, or they're watching it or whatever, I'll have all your information readily available if they want to reach out and things like that. If you want to give somebody some advice or whatever, that would be great. So you've been listening to Take Notes with Kiki Barber. I am Kiki Barber. Thank you guys so much, and thank you so much, Pam, for giving us.
All you're doing, Kiki.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, and have a good night.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Take Notes with Kiki Barber podcast. Please don't forget, notes on a pad without application is just notes on a pad. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and press that notification button so you can stay in the know. Until next time, my friends.